Oke, let's start. Kan udah jam 3:05 dan udah banyak juga teman-teman yang udah join. So, halo teman-teman semuanya. Pertama-tama, kami mengucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya pada teman-teman yang udah meluangkan waktu untuk bergabung dalam CSCA Coaching Clinic Mastering Math and Physics Section yang diselenggarakan oleh eSTEP. Perkenalkan, saya Rani yang akan menemani teman-teman selama acara webinar siang ini. Sebelum kita masuk ke acara inti, izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan apa itu eSTEP. So, eSTEP adalah Education Consultant for Study Abroad. We are independent education consulting with 16 years of expertise. We ensure your success in prestigious universities worldwide while make sure it's fit your profile. And our mission, kita offer personalized, innovative, and top-tier private tutoring. This preparation and college admissions product. And throughout the years, kita sudah memiliki lebih dari 10 tahun pengalaman. Kita juga berhasil menempatkan lebih dari 5.000 students di top universities seperti US, UK, dan Asia Universities. Nggak hanya itu, kita juga memiliki hubungan kerjasama yang luas ke top-top universities di US, UK, China, Singapura, Australia, dan lain-lain. Dan baru-baru ini kita diberi kepercayaan untuk assist students di sekolah Garuda. And this is the profile that our students accepted in. Jadi ada di UK, kemudian US, Asia termasuk di Singapura, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, South Korea, and Japan. Gak cuma itu, kita juga ada students yang berhasil kita daftarkan di Australia. Dan masih banyak lagi. Nah, not only study abroad consultations, kita juga ada test preparations. Test preparationsnya ada SAT prep, kemudian ada AP, IELTS, dan juga ada study tour dan summer program. We can also, like we mentioned before, we have wide network of universities. Jadi kita bisa bantu students untuk send applications ke negara-negara seperti US, kayak Baylor, RIT, Colorado, York, kemudian juga bisa ke Australia, ada Monash, MELU, UNSW, kemudian ada China. Kita bisa membantu students untuk mendaftarkan ke universitas-universitas berikut dan masih banyak lagi. Ini hanya list yang terbatas gitu. Masih banyak lagi. So if you want to ask more, you can ask us through our hotline. And we also have special offer for those of you who join today. Kita ada 2 kelas, yaitu CSCA Math dan Physics. Nah, sistemnya bisa milih mungkin mau ikut kelas Math aja atau ikut kelas Physics aja di harga 1.800.000. Tapi kalau ikut kelasnya bundle tuh jadi dalam seminggu mengikuti kelas matematika dan fisika itu di harga 3.500.000. Dan jadwalnya sudah disesuaikan, jadi kalau ikut dua-duanya nggak akan bentrok gitu. Mulai kelasnya pada tanggal 20 Mei dan juga sudah disesuaikan ke tes yang paling dekat yaitu tes bulan Juni. Gitu. Oke. Now, a little bit, mungkin banyak yang masih belum terlalu familiar tentang CSCA, so I will explain a bit about CSCA dan tentang math section-nya. Gitu. Jadi apa sih CSCA? CSCA kepanjangannya adalah Chinese Scholastic Competency Assessment. Jadi ini adalah standardized test yang dibuat oleh Chinese Scholarship Council atau CSC. Nah, CSCA ini pada dasarnya mirip seperti mungkin kalau teman-teman lebih familiar dengan SAT. Sebenarnya mirip seperti itu. Jadi itu adalah tes yang dilakukan oleh murid-murid high schooler untuk mendaftar ke universitas. Nah, subjeknya ada 5 secara umum tapi dibagi jadi 2 kategori, yaitu professional Chinese dan fundamental subjects. Kalau professional Chinese dibagi jadi dua, itu dia ada humanities dan STEM. Tesnya of course menggunakan Chinese dan terdiri dari 80 questions dan durasinya masing-masing 90 menit. Sementara kalau fundamental subjects terbagi menjadi tiga, yaitu mathematics, physics, dan chemistry. Masing-masing terdiri dari 48 questions, kemudian durasinya 60 menit. Nah, bedanya fundamental subjects ini bisa menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Jadi bisa memilih apakah matematika mau menggunakan bahasa China atau menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Gitu. Nah, tapi walaupun di sini subjeknya ada 5, students nggak harus mengikuti keseluruhan lima-limanya gitu diikutin. Mungkin kayak SAT gitu, nggak kayak gitu, tapi students bisa memilih menyesuaikan dengan requirement universitas gitu. And this is the schedule. Jadi schedule-nya itu ada 5 dan 3 diantaranya sudah selesai yaitu pada bulan Januari, Maret, April. Tes yang paling dekat itu bulan Juni, tanggal 27 Juni 2026. Dan tes selanjutnya ada pada bulan Desember. Dan jadwalnya belum di-announce. Oke. Dan sistemnya kayak gimana sih kalau CSCA? Jadi CSCA sendiri sebenarnya ada dua sistem, yaitu bisa remote home based online format dan onsite test. Kalau remote home based online format maksudnya gimana? Jadi maksudnya itu adalah dilaksanakan di rumah, tetapi tetap serentak. Jadi nanti ada jamnya khusus yang menyesuaikan, bukan dilaksanakan di rumah bebas dilaksanakan kapan aja itu enggak. Itu dan itu termasuk salah satu yang harus diperhatikan karena kalau sudah lewat jamnya itu udah nggak bisa diakses jadi bisa gagal dan harus mengikuti tes selanjutnya itu nunggunya kan lama lagi gitu. Kalau onsite test itu dilaksanakan di test center dan sekarang masih dalam proses pengembangan jadi kalau untuk Indonesia saat ini masih lebih banyak di remote online format gitu. And this is the math sections explanations. It will be short. Jadi, like I said before, math ini bisa memilih menggunakan bahasa Inggris atau bahasa China dan required for all applicants. Jadi, walaupun dibilang bisa memilih, math tetap wajib. Apapun language of instructions-nya, apapun universitasnya, apapun majornya, math itu wajib diambil. Gitu. Nah, Math ini juga ada konten dan scope-nya. Ini berdasarkan silabus yang CSC keluarkan per tahun 2025. Jadi ada 4. Dia ada sets and equalities, functions, geometry algebra, dan probability and statistics. And that's it. Jadi gimana sih nanti bentuk soalnya? Selanjutnya akan dibahas oleh teacher kita, Mr. Andy. So, Mr. Andy adalah Master Teacher Math di eSTEP. Beliau memiliki lebih dari 6 tahun pengalaman mengajar matematika dan fisika menggunakan International Curriculum. Tanpa berlama lagi, kepada Mr. Andy, waktu dan layar kami persilahkan.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'm just going to share my screen right now. Yeah, again, I can mix. I can use mixed languages, I guess. Yeah. Apa kabar semuanya? Is everything good? Hopefully everything is okay. And kita punya beberapa waktu cukup pendek ini sebetulnya untuk menjelaskan banyak hal ya. However, mungkin sebagian dari kalian semua di sini sudah ada yang tahu tentang CSCA, ambil dari berbagai macam informasi, right? Or ada yang sudah maybe involved in international curriculum like IB, atau pernah ambil SAT test, for example. Okay, I'm gonna try to turn it on aja, I guess. Hello, everybody. Then this is supposed to be something that is in between both. SAT is very heavy tools. Sounds good, right? You don't need to just write it on your own, okay? Meanwhile, AB, A-level tests, it's deep thinking questions. This guy is in between. I would say something that is very different paradigm, I guess, ya. Jadi harus cepat, right? 75-second rule, that's the key strategies. 48 questions. 60 menit. You know exactly what's going on. Mirip dengan AP Physics, AP lebih sederhana lagi hopefully. Well, a bit tricky though, agak beda sama AP Physics and AP Calculus for example. Kalau adik-adik pernah ambil semuanya atau mau berencana ambil, they are pretty tricky. Multiple choices questions as usual, same thing ya. However, itu ya perbedaannya adalah, of course they can use calculator, some of them are not. Di sini pure, clean. Buat adik-adik yang dari sekolah Indonesia, like national or national plus, for example, now this is going to be very similar. Gitu ya. The tricky point, Asian, bro. It's the hardest among all. Okay, of course, right? That's it. Now, I think in this occasion, I'm just going to try to give you the overview of everything else ya. And what does it actually mean? Terus gimana sih bentuknya? Okay. How does it bentuk? Terus gimana sih harusnya kita nanti belajar apa aja sih, for example, in these modules untuk math section. The fundamentals is the key. And then we need to be quite smart to eliminate. So every single thing that you know so far dari SAT test using elimination technique, okay, every single little details you need to always try to apply that. 48 questions, technically you're aiming for 40 perfect answer. 8-nya gimana? Easy bro, take it easy, okay? Gampang. I think guaranteeing if you got all 48, 40-nya correct, everything is going to be fine. Sounds good? Why don't we just move directly to the actual questions? Apa aja materi-materinya? I think it's self-explanatory. Tadi sudah dijelaskan juga. I don't want to try to spend a lot of time doing this. You can actually read it here, right? However, memang setiap questions this is new, masih baru. Jadi pasti ada analisanya. The most updated version of the yield probability ya. Nah, yieldnya apa aja itu nanti mungkin bisa selalu diupdate setelah exam-exam berikutnya. However, yang kemarin ini this is the break it down. This is how we break that one down. Jadi lebih banyak questions high-yieldnya adalah the line equation, coordinate geometry problem. Trigon bakal keluar lagi. Geometry and algebra. Jadi function and geometry algebra ini keluar banyak banget. Right? Untuk conic sections as well. Sequences. Now, yang fundamental topics like complex number nggak banyak memang keluarnya. Oke? Just 1-2 setiap pertanyaan. However, semuanya pasti ada. Sounds good? Let's just try to deep down now. Satu-satu yuk. Kita pergi. How was the questions actually look like? One by one. Sounds good? Sesederhana pertanyaan seperti ini. I'm just going to copy paste things here right now. Sounds good? Kayak apa sih the questions? Feel free to always try to answer the question right away. Yeah, you can put in the chat message or DM, doesn't really matter. Manual. So this is one of the example. Cari domainnya aja. The domain doang. That's the idea. Remember, this is cube root though. Directly, if you, boy, harus positive, brother. It's the domain. They're talking about the domain. What value that you plug in into the function, functionnya aman. It's not blowing up, right? Nggak ada vertical asymptote. That's the key that we're going to focus on. We need to understand what kind of function that have specific domain on. Ini cube root, brother. Aslinya cube root, gambarnya ada semua. Yes, sir. Langsung very, very quickly. Okay. Any other answer? I'm gonna try to grab it. Ada satu yang jawab, ada 2 jawaban berbeda. This is good. Let's try. Yang mana yuk, brother? There are nanti pasti you need to remember all the 7 magnificent. 7 main functions. Harus tahu. Salah satunya adalah cube root, brother. How does it looks like? Cube root is defined for every single domain. Di X semuanya ada, brother. Because this is cube root. Ya, -1 masih punya cube rootnya, which is -1 as well. Negatif masih boleh. Oke, I saw 2 answers di sini. Kebanyakan 2, tapi lebih banyak yang C. Okay, hold on. I don't really see it before. They're talking about the domain, however. Okay, there's somebody say A, the other one C, the other one is, of course, the D. Now, if you, ya, gak lihat kalau cube root, okay, that's okay. Siap, brother. That's also the key, man. That's also the key. Pasti begitu. So that's the idea, right? They will always give you the, but just you need to read it carefully. And I know if this is actually larger, I think you're going to find. See, semuanya ada. There are 7 functions. We're not going to talk into detail about those 7 functions, yeah. But however, by knowing that, any other form of function is just transformation of those 7 things. Sounds good? Yo, bro, this is everything. Okay? Can be negative, 1 million, doesn't really matter. They have value if you cube root it. Negative. Because the cube root of negative will also be negative. Sounds good? Yeah, it's easy. So like go, take any lesson if you do it something like this. Enggak juga ya, but take it easy. One more, brother. Another quick shot fire. So this is supposed to be like what, 10 seconds, right? There are questions like that. Looks like 10 seconds. Then bilingual as well, yeah. You take an English, you take a Chinese version, we take both from here. Now, the inverse function. The idea, no. Lebih baik memang jangan satu-satu. But boleh, of course. You can still doing it very quickly. Bang, 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 divide by 10. Right? However, so that's the idea. Everyone, feel free to just shoot me a message here. Put in the chat box. Mau DM atau enggak boleh bebas. Karena kalau di luar semua nanti bisa kelihatan. But doesn't really matter ya. Just like in YouTube, you can just like press the button. Ya. Yeah. Cuma nggak perlu tanda love aja di sini. Okay, let's go. What is the quick one to do it directly? Yes, sir. On fire, yeah? On fire, yeah? Okay, it's very easy, my man. Yep. Use it to inverse. The idea of the inverse function is the operation. I want to try to invert the operation. That's the key, yeah. Right? I want to try to invert the operation. I'm 10x plus 3 means like I multiply by 10, then add by 3. So that's the kind of this idea. To invert it, I need to reverse everything else. Okay? No, not divide by 10 first, of course, right? There's no option like that as well. The minus 3 dulu. So that's going to be very easy. This is too easy, I guess. I'm just like insulting you if I'm asking this kind of questions again. But however, this is very quick as well, yeah. Y minus 3 or x minus 3 divided by 10. Okay, very easy. I just need to inverse. However, later, if there is questions about inverse popping up, which is something not like this, for example, 2 to the power of x plus 3, you know exactly what you need to do to inverse it. You just need to invert the operation. Good. C is the perfect answer. So you multiply by 10 plus 3. Dibalik sekarang. Oh ya, plus berarti minus. Minus dulu and then divide. Okay? So after A then B, the inverse harus kebalikannya. Just B prime and then A prime. You know, prime means like the inverse. Sounds good? Now, they will always asking you the questions about this as well. This is supposed to be easy, but if you are in a national curriculum without calculator, maybe like Indonesian student supposed to be able to do this one in 10 seconds. Can you do it in 10 seconds? Quickly. Critical point, ini biasanya langsung cepat. With all due respect, for those international curriculum students, usually not that quick, but that's okay. SAT, bro, I just need to plug this one in my Desmos. Thank you very much, right? I can just see directly the questions. Be careful. Fine, ada yang cepat sekali. Where is it? Where is it? Ada lagi nggak? 1521. No, this is not the answer, ya. Okay. Let's see what happened if you have any solution of the equation. Don't forget the critical point dulu. Fine. You still to see critical point first. However, okay? What the heck is the critical point? The zero of both numerator and denominator. Sounds good? You directly supposed to see sebentar, right? Bang, minus half, brother. Plus 1, brother. And then what else? You just need to be smart here. I just need to pick it one by one, my man. Pick it one by one. Which one is which in this case? So that's the idea. That's the idea, yeah? And then you'll try. I want something that is negative. That will give me negative value. Yes, sir. Sudah masuk jawaban. Is there anything else? Yes, sir. D. In between the thing. Which is going to be very easy because if you somehow put yes, this once you recognize the critical point, 5 seconds you recognize directly the critical point, right? Terus untuk coba-cobanya ya, everyone already answer, copy. Yep. Harus dicoba-coba dulu. If it's both negative, for example, more than negative half, what will happen here? Yang mana? Is in between there? Because let's say negative 10. Put it negative 10, brother. Negative 10. Boom. Negative 11. Is it negative? Jadi positive. Yes, sir. I cannot do that. Right? I cannot do that. However, Harus ada di tengahnya. So just of course you're going to plug the number in. Okay. Cari yang angka yang bagus, ya masukin 3 atau 2, whatever that comfortable. This is masih positive. It's more than 0, brother. Right? Meanwhile here, if you plug it here, cari yang nilainya negatif, gila-gilaan negatif. So it's negative, negative. This is also positive, brother. Negative up, negative down. Quickly. So it's only 20 questions. Okay? And 20 seconds. Just like that. So negative pasti ada di tengah. You will try it. This is in between D. You need to also remember that the sign here representing ini tanda, right? This is without an equal sign. This is exclusive, right? Just very easy things like that. This one is the inclusive. Ikut masuk. Satunya juga masuk in this case. Satu masuk apa? Nggak mungkin dong. This is cannot be 0, ya. So of course A is not possible. So that's good. Nobody actually answering A right away. Very easy. Very easy. Sounds good? Everything okay so far, right? Everything good. However, some silly questions like this might popping up. But if you're not getting used to this kind of problem, you might shaking. What about this? They're only giving you, there's a point P, brother. Terminal side of an angle alpha. Terminal means like the end, just the angle. You have an angle of alpha. Okay. And you have the distance r. What about cosinus alpha in this case? This is very easy. 5-second questions. I'm not going to give you this isn't still easy questions. One by one though, one by one. Okay. I want to see what else here. Hopefully this does not confuse you, yeah. There are a couple of terms. Now that's something that we're going to cover as well in class. Okay, the terminal side of an angle, that's the end of the class. For you as international students, yeah, it's really common, bro. That was just an angle. Okay, I have a point P, whatever it is, right? And the distance between that point is R. That's my hypotenuse. The location is always giving me, X comma Y, brother, right? This is the distance of the X. This is the Y. Cosinus alpha, how can I find this is my alpha. Whatever alpha be, and P can be anywhere I want, right? Can be anywhere I want. However, cosinus is sokah toa, right? Adjacent. This is adjacent and hypotenuse. Maybe you heard as well in school. Cosinus, bro, it depends on the X, that's it. So that's why you recognize as well, cosinus is positive only in quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Why? The X is positive on both sides of that quadrant. So it is always X over R for this problem. Slightly a little bit of challenging things. Let's go. Would you be able to do it? There are questions about this. This needs to be quick as well. You need to remember. Now, the question is always setting up like that, my man. First few questions is going to be easy, but it will increasingly getting more complicated. Always like that. Sounds good? One of the easy thing that not many Indonesian students have, itu bisa di complex number and also ellipse and hyperbola. What about this guy? Can you do it less than 15 seconds? You're supposed to. Let's go, my brother. You see the thing. There are multiplication of two complex number. However, the result is only real number. How come? So that's the idea, yeah? You need to eliminate that little I there. So that's the idea, yeah? This with the basic fundamental thing, you're supposed to be able to recognize this type quite easily. How though? That's the thing, yeah? Anyone? This is somebody already get the answer. Okay, I got a lot of answer here. Yup. Recognize it without even thinking because they only give you one correct answer for the I, okay, the imaginary part. Z, yeah, Z is just a complex number, Z, right? Complex number Z will looks like X plus IY, okay? However, if you recognize the multiplication is, yes, sir, I1. So remember that A plus B multiplied by A minus B will give you A squared minus B squared, correct, sir? This is the only reason why at the end the result is only real. no longer have imaginary form of the complex number. That's it, brother. I cannot have minus I here. I need to have plus I. So in this case, I need to have something that will give me plus I, right? That's why I need plus 3. And the only plus 3 in the option is this. Okay? When things are getting complicated, just get used to this kind of stuff. Sounds good? Sounds good? That's the idea of it all. Let's see. I want to try to see about the ellipse as well. Let's see. Okay, just let me know if you have any questions. Another quick reasoning for number in this in the middle questions about the sequence that might popping up, and then looks like this. Before I move on with the maybe next half of the question. Let's see. What about this? This is also pretty much nicer. Okay. Yes, sir. This is arithmetic. The easiest one is always, I got the multiplier over here, right? I got the multiplier right over there. Sounds good there. This is just very easy thing. Whenever I have the multiplier. Okay, if this is arithmetic, what is the difference? One by one, everybody know. This is arithmetic clearly because it's linear function. Arithmetic sequence looks like a linear line. Boom. Or boom, if the difference is negative, right? However, geometric looks like exponential, bro. Going up or going down. If there is another upcoming question, what is the difference of this arithmetic sequence? In 5 seconds, I mean, like that's the fundamental. That's the drilling of fundamental that we might really have in class before we move forward. Anyone? How much is the difference in this case? Is the coefficient of your n here, the factor n. This is in respect to n. So the coefficient of that n, whatever it is, can be x, can be p, can be l, can be n, any variable. That is going to be the difference. If it's 1 minus 2n, so the difference is going to be minus 2. Okay, and so on and so forth. Just like that. Sounds good in this case? Just want to make sure. Okay. Another easy question. You want some easy questions? Let's go back. Another symmetrical point, another questions, but this is 3D things. Is something that looks like this. So it's taken from a lot of question bank. Let's go. What about these questions though? They are looking for the symmetrical point with respect to a plane. This is 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinates. X, Y usually is the one that go inside, by the way, right? Positive inside. This is regardless, however. Some school of thought tell you that Y positive is the one that in front of you, going in our face, and then go back there is basically the Z. All right. Let's see. Which one is which here? XOZ means like the X and the Z. So you basically want to try to use this thing as your mirror. So that's the idea. This sides, this plane, anything. It's basically everything inside in the, down here is also okay. But I'm just going to shade only the first quadrant here, or the top quadrant, so that you can see it. What is the answer then, my dear students? Let's go. All right. This is supposed to be nicer, no? Supposed to be easy. Let's go. Any other thing? Yo, symmetrical point means like this is literally the opposite direction. So maybe it's, if you want to try to convert it, yes, thank you. The D. Let's see. 1 minus 1, 1, let's say 1. Already there. Minus 1, let's say inside. And then 1 is actually there, yeah. Hey, so that's it. I appreciate it. One student answer D, everything is D. Okay. Of course, we just need to know the fundamental, yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. You are converting this one like equal to y equal to x kind of thing, yeah. You want to try to split everything y equal to x. I think that's what I'm going to talk about previously. If I mirror, okay, or reflect, symmetrical means like reflecting, yeah. A point in first quadrant with x-axis. So I mentioned the x-axis. Okay, I mentioned the x-axis. So let's say 1, comma 1. If I mirror it to the x-axis, hopefully now you know. Oh, of course, you see, everybody knew this. The one that is x, they never change. The coordinate x, they don't change. Correct? The one that shift is the one that they don't mention. Okay, what do you reflect it with? X-axis. The y is the one that is changing into negative. The transformation. Okay, the matrix transformation is minus 0, the a. So that's the idea, yeah. So it's reflected to the x-axis, 0. The first one is 0a. Ah, you got the idea, brother. So how does it actually looks like? Yeah, the one that you need to switch into negative is the one that does not mention. So the other way around happen. What if I mirror it to the y-axis, brother? The y don't change, right? The x, the one that move into negative. You should really apply the same thing for this problem. If they ask you what mirror to what, the plane of what, x, o, z, the x and the z, they don't change. That's the idea of it all. This is very easy. Again, it requires you to understand about what's really going on very, very quickly, right? But that's okay. That's why I'm here, I guess. That's the idea. That's just give you the information about what might popping up anyway, just like that. Sounds good? Sounds good. Yeah. So the answer is everything now positive one, brother. That's A. Sounds okay there? Right. There's also a couple of, there will be some sine, cosinus, tangent equation. This is going to be very easy. This is your favorite questions, I guess. Let's go back to the old exam practice from the official syllabus. Boom. This is some favorite questions. This is an Indonesian student can do it in very, very quick amount of time. No calc. They recognize which quadrant is they're talking about here. Yo, they're talking about the quadrant number 1. They're looking for the tangent at that point. Yo, can you do it quickly for me, my man? I know you all can do it. Quadrant number 1, everything is positive. However, okay, you need to pay attention to which quadrant that they're basically taking into account. Yo, something like that, right? You want to know which one they want to try to take into account and then figure that one out. Yes, sir. Yo, which one is one? Which one is which here? Cosinus is always x over r. You know, the long way to do it is like, I just need to do this one, cosinus squared. This is too long, bro. This is equal to 1, yeah? But this is the formal way. You're supposed to be able to reflect everything in a, yeah, everyone. I think that's an answer here, yeah. Yes, sir. Square root of 3 over 2. Let's see. That's the idea, yeah? I think that's good. Cosinus, I can name alpha anywhere I want, okay? But I need to be consistent. So if they say this is 2 over 3, sohkah toa, right? Kah is adjacent. The adjacent is the one is not opposite. The one in front of me is opposite. Adjacent is 2, hypotenuse is 3. That's it, brother. Okay, how can I find this one, brother? This is just like square root of 3 square minus 2 square. Uncle Pita, the oldest formula you find. Okay, in mathematics, that's the ancient formula. That's just correct up until now. Okay, so this is all square root of 5. If what do you want? Tangent, bra. If I want tangent, now go back to toa. Same thing here, right? Opposite over adjacent. So square root of 5, that's my opposite, divided by my adjacent part. Boom. Quick shift. However, again, pay attention to where you want to try to define that. What matters? The sign. Only the sign matters. The triangle shape, same thing. If they do give you negative value anyway, let's say quadrant number 3, cosinus is negative. You don't care about the negative sign. Just draw it. The triangle, right angle triangle, diagonal is 3, adjacent is 2. Then, so that's the idea. Figure it out. What do you want? Tangent is also, that's positive, bro. That's quadrant number 3, for example. Okay? That's why knowing the fundamental is the key. Sounds good? Sounds okay, yeah? Go back here again. Why don't we just try to look for another sequence? Let's just want to try to driving you back to the questions. Boom. You are given the shape of the function, brother. I need to put it here. Okay. They give you a sequence, give you general term. It is alternating sequence. That's the idea. Alternating sequence requires -1 to the power of something there. Sounds good, right? So you can eliminate CD is going to be bullshit. So that's the idea. It's going to be bullshit right away. Don't pick that. Okay. The first one is positive. So when you plug n equal to 1, needs to give you positive numbers. So it's very easy. Directly you ignore the things. So that's what I'm looking for by doing. Okay, just erase those two things and then move on and answer between the two. And then, bro, at the beginning is positive, my man, right? 1/2n is always correct. So you pay attention to these two things. If it's the first one, A1 is positive, I want power 0 at the beginning. So A will be the correct answer to do it. Sounds good there. I just want to make sure everything is okay right now here. Sounds good. So this is like very similar to like Indonesian curriculum. This is like just very quick, just very quick. So you're going to be fine. Hopefully, is it harder than UTBK, for example? Maybe. UTBK is just like nonsense. They just put a lot of context into it, right? Well, I'm sorry to say that, yeah, however. Yo, what about this? Without calculator, this is a common question you have in your sit exam, right? In your school exam. You're sitting down and have this one as your quiz, maybe at some point. Let's go, brother. Yeah, this kind of fundamental in trigon popping up a lot. A similar questions like this, typical questions like that is given as well. Okay, given as well. Sounds good. What about this? Let's see. There's a lot of questions like that. Okay. Yo. Yes, sir. Directly, if you have this kind of questions, you like it a lot, right? How can I find cosine of 75? This must be positive, however. So you can ignore any look at the question C, look at part C. Is going to be very stupid, right? This is negative, bro. It is not going to be that answer. The only possible is square root of 6 minus or square root of 6 plus. Got it, right? Of course, you know how to do it. This is basically cosinus 45 plus 30. How do you solve cosinus 45 plus 30, bro? This is cosinus 8 plus b. Okay. Most of you maybe here is grade 11, grade 12, I guess. I will bet, right? So you know this trigon formula, double angle formula, or like this is the addition formula of a trigon function. Supposed to be fine. This is just like cosinus, cos, sine, right? Cosinus is a liar. So if it's positive, then you put negative there. Cosinus 45, cosinus 30. None of them are good. So that's the idea. Here is both sinus, brother. Sinus 45 and sinus 30. You know you have negative, so immediately you need to answer part A. Immediately, without even counting. Does it make sense? Without even counting at all. Look, the one that I show you here is basically the building block of the fundamentals. When you pattern recognize this one nicely, okay, everything's supposed to be fine. Hopefully. So that's the idea. That's the idea of it all, right? That's the idea of it all. However, okay, maybe you learn about some of them about foci, the ellipse. Let's go. There's a lot of ellipse questions popping up as well. Okay. Well, there's a formula for it, definitely. So this is going to be fine. Right. Now let's moving on. Sounds okay there? Okay. Everything good? Right. Let's just move on directly with these questions. Boom. Hello. That's the idea, yeah. This is popping up, in a more detailed class that we break this one into multiple of modules, basically, right? On the coordinate geometry, okay, of a function, okay, that we call it conic sections. There's a lot of, circle, ellipse, parabola, hyperbola, right? In Bahasa, we call it irisan kerucut. That's the conic sections thing. Those are one of the, usually students always consider that as the most challenging part. Okay. The eccentricity is 2/3. Let's go, brother. What should I do in this case? They got a focal length as well. It's given focal length is foci, right? Okay. Okay. The focal length, the foci, the focus, basically, right, is on the y-axis. So how does it really looks like? There are a couple of formulas involved, but you need to realize as well, this is an easy question. Directly go back to this, my man. Directly go back to this. Okay. The eccentricity, what the heck is eccentricity? First thing first, I need to remember. Okay, you have x squared plus, I can call it a squared, plus y squared over b squared equal to 1 is the equation of the ellipse, the elliptical. Here, sounds good, right? And then eccentricity, okay, is basically given in the part of this. Sounds good? A C over A. What the heck is C? You already realized it maybe, right? This is just A squared minus B squared. Which one is the largest part among them? Sounds okay, yeah? Which one is the largest part among them? So I just want to try to make sure it's all good. That A squared minus B squared. Whatever larger, that's basically the part that you have directly. Okay? With that being said, that's the idea of it all. Hopefully this is kind of like a clearly one. Let's look at it directly. Okay. The focal length means that the distance between two focal, that's what the focal length. Okay. Distance between two focal length. Two foci, they say it's 4. That's basically 2c. Okay. Again, c is given by this distance, like a hypotenuse kind of thing. Right? So I know that c is 4. That c is basically 2. And then again, when you plug the formula, do it quickly. This is 2/3. Okay. So I know at some point, but doing quickly, eccentricity is 2/3. Okay. 2/3 is basically 2/8. Boom. Okay. However, I know this is in y-axis, right? In y-axis. So the y-axis part, okay, I will really say I need to change it into b because it's in the y-axis. I need to realize that a squared must be more than b squared. So I'm just going to change it right now here. Yep, this is b squared, this is a squared. That's what I'm going to do here. Because the focal length, the lengthy one is basically in b. With that being said, you're supposed to be able to recognize the one that y needs to be 3. So 3 squared, this is the larger one. The only one that has 9, the one that is larger, is only this 12. No, brother, it's not 12. Can't be like that. So the answer is now B. Recognizing directly, what's focal length? Y-axis. You are the longer one, the major axis on the y-axis. So the over B here needs to be longer. This is the ellipse. This is part of topics that we will also try to discuss. It needs to have a lot of practices in details, one by one, okay? And couple of a discussion on that as well. Not only the ellipse, but the hyperbola, parabola as well. Okay. And also the easiest one, which is the circle. Sounds good? Yeah, of course, since I mentioned the circle, of course, there will be a questions about circle, which is still going to be pretty easy like that. My brother. Let's see. Before I board you down, hopefully I don't put you down doing this thing, yeah. Let's see. Very easy. They give you the radius. They don't really give you a lot of things here, so we need to be quick. You need to eliminate, slightly eliminate a couple of things. You know exactly which one is which, right? Both of them are +2, -4. Okay. You can ignore everything that is not, doesn't make sense here in this case. X squared plus y squared, everything is good. This guy, right? Twice of the, just multiply by -2. That will be the coefficient of the axis. I need +2. Forget about this. I need -4 here. So everything is good here. Negative, negative. This is not possible, right? So the only correct answer now, it depends on this. We need to be able to find it quickly, right? We need to be able to find it quickly. The radius is 9. So again, if I break it down one by one though, this is x plus a square plus y plus b. Your teacher needs to use it h and k. I know that, right? But just let's write it down here. I put it minus a. That doesn't really matter, okay? So minus a minus b. So a comma b is my center. This is at my c. So that's the idea, yeah? However, I want to try to move it on the right-hand side. So if you do this one correctly, the one on the right-hand side will be a squared minus a squared plus always minus in this case, yeah, minus a squared minus b squared. That's it. By this is 9 minus 1 squared. Always minus, brother. Regardless of this is a positive or negative, doesn't matter. It always ended up having positive value, yeah? X minus 1, x minus 4, right? It is 4. Positive on the right-hand side. However, you see here is negative on the left. Yo, A is the correct answer. Do it pretty quickly as well. Sounds good? Sounds okay? Right? Yes, another function. There's a lot of function questions like that popping up. One of them maybe, yeah, before we move forward to the next one, because we still have a physics session for this. But this is more or less, it's going to be something like that. Hey, if I do give you this thing though, a lot of students get this one as their pitfall, okay, is this. Your function, I want some feedback from you then, yeah, please. Last questions. I'm going to give you a voucher. Oh, of course not. I'm really sorry. I don't think it's allowable, for the admin to give you a voucher. I wish I could. Later, I guess. They say this function is monotonic decreasing. This means like every domain for that function, it keeps decreasing. That's what monotonic means. Nggak pernah naik, nggak pernah. Just turun terus, going down. Ya memang, this is exponential function. You either going to have growth or either you're going to have decay. That's exponential naturally, right? Growth or decay. Okay. What is the range though? The range. I'm talking about the possible ranges of A. This is not talking about the range of the exponential function, yeah, no. The A, the base. Which one is which, my dear students? Maybe from what I hear, I mentioned it before, at growth and decay. The big difference between growth and decay here is the value of the base. The growth will have the base more than 1, always. This is just like geometric sequence and series in which the base is the ratio. The only way you can grow is when you multiply with the number higher than 1. However small it is, higher than 1, it is going to be increasing. However, it's less than 1, so you kind of cut it every single step. That's the characteristic of decay. So D is the correct answer for that. Sounds good here. Seems like I don't, just like very, very easy questions. Yeah, I want to try to keep the best for the rest, however. But that's the idea of it all, right? You want to try to find something like a calculus. Calculus is also popping up for this kind of problem. However, it's not going to be like crazy, crazy hard calculus questions, right? They will always try to ask you something like that as well. This is going to be very easy at some point. Okay. Let's say one more for the derivative, I guess, and that will be all, right? This is going to be less than a minute, maybe. Boom. Okay. They say, they don't give you a function. However, that's the idea, yeah? They give you something here, right? They give you something here. Okay, what is the answer for this? They give you the definition. That's why quick 75 seconds to solve the problem is here. They don't give you a function, they show you the result of the first derivative. So f prime 1 is equal to 1. They say, but there's a limit questions. Okay, so this has ended up having the first principle of derivative, yeah? The first principle of derivative supposed to tells you something there. Sounds good? Maybe you remember. Anyone want to try to get the answer? Maybe in 10 seconds before I end the session for the math part. There's an integral for, but I'm not showing you this for now on. Everything good? What is the answer for this part, my brother? Yo, the definition is, this is clear. F prime of A, okay, is basically just the limit. So that's the idea, yeah, of that thing. When delta x close to 0. This is the first principle of the derivative. F of A plus delta x minus f A over your delta x. The problem lies here, but why do I have 3? Bro, it's just like you multiply by 1 over 3 and that's it. You know this is 1 for the story. And since I have 3 as my coefficient down here, that will be 1/3 of that. So I need to answer C. So this is just 1/3 limit of the exact definition of f prime x when x is 1, because they give you x1 here. All right. That's going to be just a snapshot of a math in a very quick way. Yes. This is the thing that we want to try to discuss. The every single questions there that I give you, if you can finish this one less than 30 seconds, okay, or at least 40 seconds, that's it. That's the right track. That's the right track. I think you're going to be ready if you have that. Okay. And of course, the actual question requires those quick understanding of thing to see the problem immediately. And that's it. Right? Of course, dig down deeper about the actual questions will be given later on. Take care. It will be not fair if I explain it maybe 30 in 30 minutes. Okay. So that's all I can do for now. All right. Now, I think I'm just going to bring the ball back to Miss Rani. Thank you.
Oke, thank you, Mr. PJ. Oke, jadi tadi adalah explanations a little bit about math. Jadi kurang lebih soalnya kayak gitu. Nah, next we are going to move to the next sessions, which is physics. I will explain a bit, just a bit about physics. Jadi physics itu test language-nya mirip seperti sama sih seperti math, dia menggunakan bahasa Inggris atau bahasa Chinese gitu. Jadi bisa memilih. Nah, perbedaannya adalah kalau physics adalah merupakan salah satu subjek pilihan. Jadi students itu bisa memilih gitu. Jadi sekali tes nggak harus ngambil fisik kayak gitu. Nah, tapi required-nya itu untuk apa? Require-nya untuk students yang memilih beberapa jurusan tertentu, seperti jurusan engineering atau computer science and physical science program. Tapi always verify with your university requirement. Karena biasanya berbeda universitas, berbeda jurusan itu biasanya berbeda subject requirement-nya. Tapi overall, memang physics itu biasanya untuk jurusan-jurusan engineering. Gitu. And this is the examination content dan scope. Scope-nya sendiri ada 5. Ini berdasarkan silabus yang CSC keluarkan per tahun 2025. Jadi di physics itu nanti akan membahas tentang mechanics, electromagnetism, thermodynamics, optics, dan modern physics. Nah, bentuk soalnya kayak gimana? Bentuk soalnya akan dibahas oleh Mr. Andi di next sessions. So, Please, kita lanjut lagi kepada Mr. Andy. Time is yours. Okay. Let's wait for
Yep.
Mr.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Just need to wait. This is yeah. Just want to make sure everything is good. Hold on a second. All right. For the physics sections now. Okay. So this is for engineering students, most likely. Okay. Okay, wait. I lost my view of this. Okay, cool. This is the breakdown of everything else. If mathematics have multiple section there, yeah, they have 5, 6 topics, right? There's actually four for mathematics, okay, for big main modules. However, the breakdown are plenty. Here we have just very similar to AP, brother. If you're familiar with AP physics, this is it. This is going to be very, very close to them. Okay. In which you are correct. Mechanics is going to be the most favorite one. It used to cover more than 60%, more than 60, 70. The Sufat equation, you need to be able to do it very, very quickly. Get the Newton's law, work and energy relationship. You need to know exactly which to eliminate basically, yeah. But nowadays, so there are a couple of formula that, yeah, I mean, okay. Any questions? There's a yeah, okay. So biotech have physics is one of the tests. You need to put in, okay, in the name have physics depends on what bioengineering, for example, it might require physics. You need to make sure. I think you can consult them with our admin, I guess, yeah, later on to understand exactly the detail that requires for them. Okay. However, if it's biomedics, most likely it's going to be physics there. If it's like biotechnology, I'm not sure about that. Okay, but anything's related to the engineering. This is a bioengineering. Well, you mean biomed, I guess that's something like this, right? Biomedics, right? They requires physics because that's basically, biology is part of the problems as well. But however, the system, the modules for engineering is physics is always going to be the part of the core thing. Okay, regardless of what kind of engineering you're going to take, they might really need physics as well. But this is not like a magic physics, however, like Olympiad. No, brother. Not at all. Like far from. Well, with all due respect, okay, it's not really it's not really something that's crazy. However, still, there are a few things that you need to remember. Okay, just like that. Okay. With that being said, a lot of questions. So mechanics, electricity, and magnetism is basically if you study only those, 60% is going to be covered. So let's say for you, I wanted to go to biotech, biomedical, for example, to avoid physics. Yeah, it's okay. Just learn about mechanics and electricity, magnetism, and you're going to be fine. I guess something like that. Yeah, I guess something like that's supposed to be done. Okay, and this is going to be very similar to like Indonesian curriculum, though. I would say this is this is Asian, brother. This is a Asian. Sounds good. What kind of problems that you might see? Yeah, show you. There are a lot of graphs related to that, but of course, I'm just going to explain about mechanics. What about the tips and strategy? Same little thing. The fundamental. Okay, what else here? Okay, yeah, okay, cool. Just like that. All right. Same fundamental thing. You need to know. So in first few classes, of course, you need to know exactly the basic of everything else. I might really give you one of them one by one, but this is not talking about the classes, like all of the formula that you need to know about this topic and that topic, bro. Let's just focus directly on what it looks like. Boom. The graph does looks like this. Boom. You have a V versus T graph. You know that this is accelerating. That's the key. V versus T, directly look at that. It's very similar to physics and kinematics as well. Yeah. If you take A level, the math version is kinematics. Okay. You need to understand as well that whenever you have V versus T, you have two. The area under the curve representing the displacement. So that's the idea. If they do ask you, this is a displacement. The area here is displacement. However, the gradient is the acceleration. Quickly, bang, bang, two. So another 5 seconds. What about how many times do I, like, what is the time needed to solve the question? Same, 75 seconds. So this is really AP, really AP. Math is slightly different. AP is bit more comprehensive, I guess. That's the idea, yeah. The number is clear, things. No, this one is trick. You need to play the trick quickly. Okay, what is the horizontal force? Let's go, my man. Hopefully, I don't bore you down with the easy questions, yeah. However, this is a challenge for you. You're supposed to be able to do it very, very quickly. Anybody wants to try this? Do you know the mass, my brother? You know that F, the forces is mass time acceleration. I know the mass, it's 2. What about the acceleration? From this graph, the acceleration is directly, I'm looking for my thing is here, yeah? My pen tablet is there, so that's why but I'm looking at you right now, so that's the idea. Let's go. Anyone wants to try to grab the answer for this physics? This is easy though. I'll give you one by one definitely. Yes, sir. Very easy. Very easy. Very easy. I think every one of you will get the correct answer. Very easy. Okay, good. How do I know? Gradient, brother. Gradient is just phi over t. dphi over dt is basically acceleration. From the graph, gradient. Gradient of the tangent at exactly thing. Okay. This is the thing. This is his line, brother. You have a constant acceleration in this case. Next questions. Let's just don't waste our time here. Let's go back to this again. Thank you very much for this. Yeah. Boom. Yo, typical. Maybe this is physics question. It's I think entrance exams and Indonesian entrance exams way harder than this. They give you, I don't know that they have a different paradigm though. Okay. In SAT, AP, they don't want you to find some, I do not know, like very hard question. No, they want you to be swift. They want you to. Do you know the fundamentals? If you know the fundamentals, you're supposed to be able to do it quickly and accurately. That's what they want. In Indonesian entrance exam, with all due respect, just doesn't make sense. But you're not going to finish everything in 40 minutes, I guess. Not 15 questions or 20 questions. I do not know why they put those kind of questions. I'm not sure. That's yeah. I know as well. Like some of the questions, let's say UI, for example. I don't understand why but this one is just normal questions though. Normal question. You can solve it. Once you know the fundamental, good. That's the idea. Let's go. What should I do in this case? Quick. Very, very quick. Okay. I want the thrust function here. Right. Okay. Very, very good. However, very, very easy. Very, very easy. Okay. You need to know exactly what's going on here. Yeah. Like the force need to be the same. This equilibrium condition, you have a uniform motion. All right. The block slide down, inclined plane. The key is what? Okay. 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 Find the thrust, and that's what you're going to use it directly there. Sounds okay? And you will have an acceleration. That's the idea. Okay. You need to also recognize though, like what kind of component to be there. So this needs to be quick. However, again, if you have no idea what's really going on here, always pay attention to the numbers that you have. You got 30 degree, you had 3 kilograms. You have only T2 seconds. You have an inclined distance of 4. What is really going on here? Take it easy, one by one, my brother, one by one, okay? And then we plug this one in, okay? Everything good? F is directed up to the incline applied to the block to accelerate up the incline from rest. They say, so this is another Sufat equation popping up. The object going up at the distance, this is the distance here, yeah? Incline, not the height. 4 meters is not there. 4 meter that way, brother. That way. Okay? So you have Sufat equation. You need to also remember the Sufat. What is Sufat equation? Maybe you recognize it, right? If I want to know the A, acceleration, if I know the distance, I know the time, which equation that I need to use. Yeah, this is the favorite question. V square is U square plus 2AT. You got it? 2AS, not 2AT basically. If there's another questions like that, if you know the S, right? If you know the T, then you can always try to use the distance is UT plus half AT squared. This is what I mean by Sufat equation, yeah? This is something that needs to popping up directly. Is it memorization? Yeah, I hate to say that, but Yeah, kind of thing. Kind of pattern recognition, I would say. It's not really blind memorization, yeah. But you don't have time to derive it though. Okay, if you somehow I forget it, I know you don't have time to derive it. Like most likely you don't have time. You need to be able to do it very, very quickly. This is O is 0, bro. You know this is 4. So only have HT squared. I got 4. Now you know what A is. A is 2. Sounds good. And then I know if A is 2, then you need to find what is the forces acting on that. Remember one by one, yeah? Sounds good? Sounds okay, right? So again, what is the problem? That's a 36. How do you know this is 36, bro? This is F net equal to M times A. No, this is going up, brother. There must be something. This is F thrust minus F that opposing you to this direction. Okay? There are at least one of them, which is the gravitational field in this case. Right? That's the gravitational field in this case. So which one is which now? Okay, is equal to MA. Mg sinus theta. How do you know this is sinus theta, bro? Yeah, memorization, I would say. This is the Mg is going down here. They will always have, this is the theta, by the way. This is opposite to it, right? So Mg sinus theta is the component of the gravitational field strength, the force of gravity going on here. Mg sinus theta. And then, of course, you got the Mg cosinus theta. This is the one that is friction. That's the idea. Okay? You can have something like that there. And it needs to be equal to MA. This is the F net, yeah. If you do have friction, M mu times N. So that's the idea, yeah. The friction force is mu coefficient times N itself. If you know the coefficient at some point later on, right? You're supposed to be able to know that mg cosinus theta is equal to M times A. Again, how do I know the mu though? However, the N is the one that goes that way, my brother. So that's the idea, yeah. So the one that goes opposite, the red one here, is always going to be the friction, mu times N. If you do it carefully, the mu is always tangent theta. This is a long story. I cannot really explain it directly here, otherwise I will be long. However, this notification, you notify, okay, this is always the situation, fine. O F is going down, O is going up. So what kind of formula that I need to use? One by one, okay? We need to immediately putting that one in. And that's why when you substitute all the number, it is 36. That will be blowing up. Boom. That's the idea. Yeah. So immediately put A there. What is 3 times 2? What 3 times 2? That will be 6. But I need to add it with the other component there. J is 10. The number is always good. Bang. Sinus, how do I know this is 3? Nah, you got to go directly. They give you the angle. Sinus 30 is half. So this is always easy to count directly right there. Everything okay there? Just want to make sure it's all good, all good. If there's no friction, yo, just get rid of this. This is just a memorization right away. Put it in directly. Everything good, my man? Just want to make sure everything okay. Right? Go back to that again. Let's go. This is just easy peasy part like that. There are a lot of conceptual questions like this. Okay? Conceptual questions that might popping up. And okay, the acceleration, the ratio between all of them. And also one of them are something like this. Okay. The energy and work relationship. Boom. There are plenty of questions here. However, focus directly on mechanics and electromagnetism. This is always going to be the key. What about here? Right. One by one. Kinetic friction, they do have give you kinetic friction. Horizontal is 7n. The resulting accelerations, you need to get more than that. You want some FA here. You know the net. This is easy. This is very easy, yeah. But you need to be able to do it quickly. Let's go. This is my N. This is the force. I'm going to pull it to the left, right? The friction force is applying here, which is equal to mu N. Okay. F net. This is the net, brother. It's always MA, right? 1 times A, right? Quickly. This is 7 minus mu times N. What is my N here? Same thing, brother. It's always You know n itself. What the heck is n, bro? It's just mg. This is equal to mg though. Okay. This is an horizontal plane, not an inclined plane. Inclined plane, there will be something different. N is mg cosinus theta. So that's the idea, yeah? Mg cosinus theta, if it's inclined. Okay. You know, you put just cosinus theta. If it's theta is 0 here, bro, cosinus 0 is 1. So I can always try to plug this one in. And yes, sir. So this 7 minus 0.2 times 10, okay, is equal to 1a. Okay. 5 is a. 5 meter per second squared. Very, very easy. Plug and play immediately. Sounds good there? Just want to make sure everything is okay. Sounds good? So that's just Newton's law of motion. There are a couple of things. Work and energy is one of the most favorite questions as well that might popping up directly in the actual exam. Okay. The work and energy. What about something like this? Yeah, there's a formula, work and energy. Work is only F dot S. Okay, boom. So this is easy. Supposed to be very easy. Let's go. What about this? You already moved 10 meters. That's your displacement. However, just multiplication between F and S, they need to be aligned. F and S needs to be aligned. It's very easy. It's just F cosinus 60. That's the idea, yeah? Cosinus 60 is half. So this is going to be very easy to grab right away. What is the answer for this, my dear students? The work done by the pulling forces, bro. Okay, just work is F dot S. Okay, or the magnitude of them together, cosinus theta. The angle is the angle between them together, so it's going to be cosinus 60 degree. And that will be all. Right? This is 500. How much do you move, brother? 10 meter. Cosinus 60 is going to be half. Yes, thank you very much for attempting to try it. It's very easy, very easy. Okay, is there any boring things? This is everything is boring. However, okay, you just need to be done quite easily now. Then, yeah, if there's something like this, I'm not worried about this. You love these questions for mechanics, like for Indonesian students. However, right? Let's just check something that is not common. No, I think I'll move on directly to the electromagnetisms. Nothing happened here, my man. It's going to be very easy. Be careful with the electrostatics, magnetic field, electromagnetic induction. Questions, something like that might really popping up. Okay. Let's go. Shall we? The force. There are a couple of problems that you need to remember right away. Boom. Yo, go back. Magnetic field. You got a magnetic field. You know the current I. Just look at every single thing that you already know. The F is basically BIL, yeah? And BIL, something like this. Yeah. There's a lot of easy questions here. I would really say that we don't really have a lot of time to actually analyze. Remembering the formula is good. If you're pretty good during doing the formula, just like when you learn about biology, everything is good. This is the Ampere's force. They name it Ampere's force, however. It's just like electric force, bro. Like, why do we call it Ampere's? Whatever. That's their terms. Okay. So very easy. Do not forget to, they usually play this though. 50 centimeter, they put it ampere, repeat it in ampere, right? This is already need to be in Tesla. Make sure the unit matches. Everything else is going to be good. So straightforward multiplication. Okay. Straightforward multiplication. Nothing's pretty fancy here. Nothing's pretty fancy here. All right. Very easy. Very easy. What about this? Same, very similar thing to that, but with some kind of pictures. This is what the favorite questions as well that you have. I think everybody knows about this answer. This BIL, you multiply it directly, bro. It's 2. However, 10 to the power of minus 2. So that's going to be the answer right away. BIL. Applying it right away. The same BIL, however, something like this should do. Let's move. What can I do in this case? But again, if I do have that, the forces. Okay, this is some easy questions. And you want to try to compare it with something like this. These two is now the favorite questions for the exam. Something like this will do. Let's go. Two of them. Hopefully you see every single thing here, yeah? Okay. One thing to notify is B and I supposed to be factor. The B and L, I will say, it's going to be a factor, like the directional factor. So F, B, L, we have three factors involved here. So that's why we use sinus instead, not cosinus. They all need to be directly there, okay? The I, the B and the L needs to be perpendicular to each other. However, that's the idea, yeah? Okay? So those are actually the cross product. So that's some detail that we need to also study later on. B is definitely a factor. L, and then you just multiply it by I. This I is just a magnitude of the current, which is scalar, right? So this is going to be pretty easy for this problem. How much is it? B, I, L. You got B. The one that is equal, is it zero? The answer is supposed to be zero if you want to try to put it back, yeah? Okay. However, this is going to be twice of them, right? Because the length is twice of them, okay? Because you fold it. Look at this. Straight wire of length 3L is now bended, okay, into a right angle wire, which is AC, one portion, and CD. This section though, this section though, since they have zero, okay, the angle they are parallel with the B, you're not going to see exactly the length. The length is from here to here. So that's what the factor length is. Okay. Why the length is a factor? Yeah, they're talking about from here to here, distance L. If the two factor have no degree, no angle between each other, just like that, not like this, 90 degree like this, you're not going to create any forces. So this is a cross product. You know, remember the right hand rule. I use right hand. Some of your teacher will give you the left hand Fleming's rule, yeah? F, B and L needs to be 90 degree to each other, different plane. So that's why there's no force here. The only force appear is here on the green one. Why? They create an angle 90 degree with B. This is a guarantee you have the forces. So only BIL, your L is 2L, by the way, right? The length, the small L here is 2L, this guy, brother. So it's 2BIL is the correct answer. So it's like tricky, but bro, you just need to know the fundamental and everything is good. Sounds okay? Now, same thing happened here as well. Doesn't really matter for this problem, my man. Doesn't really matter for this. If you want it, the solution is going to be very easy. What is the length in this case? Only fold it two part, right? Ampere force on the wire. That's the idea. Doesn't really matter in this case, right? The force, the B inside, this is basically getting outside of the page, yeah? The dot here represent the outside of the page. This L is going L that way. Okay, so that's why it will be just fine. Easily. B-I-L. Right away. Sounds good? So what should I do here? Same thing. Just B, I times L. In the scale, L is how much now? One by one, yeah? Ampere force on the wire, one by one. For each wire, however, the L that I need to use is the 1L here. 1L there. Okay, equal side length. I want to try to fold it. On the wire, it's going to be one by one here. Okay, the answer is in A, right? So this is also the idea. If they have two, like, what should I do though? Yeah, okay. The quick way to do it is instead of making a line like that, okay, I represent the folded length into one straight line, right? The averaging of everything else. Yes, this guy, since you have 60 degree, this is also 60 degree. This is isosceles triangle. So instead of using that bended, I'm going to replace it that one. Okay, so actual calculation, why it looks like this is an integral. However, no, this is just memorization, my brother. So instead of using L 5 meter, this is my actual L, the effective L. That's why, okay, we consider this one 2.5 because this is 2.5, half, right? And it's 60 degree. This is not isosceles, but equilateral triangle. Hence, BILL is 2.5 meter here. Just this kind of questions. BIL 0.2 times 2.5, it's half then, yeah. Just like that. Just like that. Sounds good? This is the magnetic thing. Always current carrying wire, the force acting on that. Just like this. A few more. So apparently, yeah, this is like, it's so hard to just like directly give you the quick answer right away. Huh? Not necessarily. We also try to get some optical question. The rest of them are going to be very easy. Going to be very easy. Okay, why don't we just? I want a little bit. I think it's just pretty tiring for all of you. This is almost to the end of the session. I appreciate it for those of you who still stay. Let's go. This is the optical problem. Yeah, some of them are not necessarily always calculation, which is something that's supposed to be easy. I don't want to try to give you this kind of question though, yeah, but let's discuss it right here. Okay, red light and violet incident on a semicircular glass block. Okay, however, okay, so that's the idea. However, now the P is the same. So that's the idea. The P is basically the same. The P is the refracted angle. The emitter is both travel from the center O along the P direction. Okay. The light is always take the shortest point between them. You need to also realize incident on a semicircular glass block. So this is going to be denser material. Correct? Denser material requires you to actually find, you remember the formula. What formula do I need to use, brother? N sinus theta 1 is equal to N2 sinus theta 2. However, the N, what is N? N is just proportional to how quick you are, C over V. That's the idea. C is the speed of light, the ratio between speed of light and speed of light of the light on the medium. The phi, you need to also remember, is equal to lambda. This will definitely affecting the color, the red and the violet. The frequency is going to be different so that the speed, the lambda is also different as well, yeah? That's why maybe you also recognize as well which one is the red color in this case. Okay, the incident angle, I need to make sure the incident angle here. The incident angle for A is this guy, the B is this guy though. The easiest thing to do is you remember the refraction, the Newton refractions law. Which color is that coming up, right? From the red to the violet. So that's the idea. The violet is the one that is being deflected that much. So this is going to be the incident, the refracted angle there, yeah? So, B is the one that's deflected more than A. You need to know directly that BO is going to be the violet for sure, right? That's the quick way to do it. Again, the idea is here and the idea is also here as well. Why this is deflected more? Because violet will experience way larger decreasing of speed of light there, right? Why they don't have the same thing? Depends on their lambda, depends on their thing, the speed of light of each of them. The lambda is different. Okay, the more lambda, but this is phi. Oh, proportional. So the more your lambda, okay, basically, the smaller the n is going to be. Okay, or the larger the lambda, then. So the larger the lambda, the small the n. The smaller the n, the less you're going to get the refraction. That's the idea of it all. Hopefully everything good so far in this case. That's why this 2 is correct. However, let's go. Take a short time to pass through the glass block. Which speed is actually faster? Shorter time, right? You know, low. Lambda over there has a, ultraviolet, mean like higher F, larger lambda. So the one that is shorter time is basically a red light here, right? Red light travel faster in the medium. That's why it does not bend it as crazy as the violet, right? Because violet has stronger refractive ability than the red color. So that's hopefully going to be the idea of it all. Sounds good. Hopefully that's the idea, yeah? And remember this. If you remember, this is the thing. If you remember, which one is red? Yeah. Oh, violet is the one that's deflected that much, bro. Hey. So you are the one that will affect it a lot. Why do you deflect that much? Because you're slower there. That's the idea, to do it quickly. There's a lot of interesting cut topics. Cuts topics right away. Okay. I think this one is going to be very similar, so I'm not going to getting you directly the thing, yeah. Okay. So very similar to that questions, the conclusion must arrive also here. So there are a lot of shortcuts. So it's supposed to give you the idea of what kind of problems to discuss here. All right. Time is very limited, I guess, right? Okay. I'm really sorry for extensive. Physics is always like that, mouthful. It's not fair. Just like math, boom, boom, bang. No, I need to explain a couple of things. Yeah. This is going to be very similar thing. Yeah. You know which one is more propagating quickly. B in this case is going to get faster. Okay. So that speed of light A is less than, yes, sir. That's the idea. That's the correct answer, directly A. Because the one that is bended strongly, you're slower. All right. I'm not going to waste your time right now. I'm really sorry that I'm very, very limited for this time. All right. Should really manage it even better. But yeah, there's a lot of, but most of them though, mechanics, electricity, optics, just go for like 80 to 90% of your answer, your questions. Thermo, modern physics especially is very rare. 2 questions, 3 question maximum so far. That's why we focus on mechanics and electricity and magnetism. All right. Thank you very much for staying. I'm going to come back. I bring it back to Miss Rani again. Thank you very much, Miss.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Andy. And before the end of this session, kalau teman-teman ada yang tertarik mau ikut tes preparation di eSTEP, baik untuk SAT, IELTS, atau CSCA, bisa banget contact us through our WhatsApp. Mungkin share through our WhatsApp here di 0823 1118 2168, and that brings us to the end of this event. Thank you all for the participations, and thank you for Mr. Andy for sharing valuable information about CSCA. And see you at the next event. Bye guys. Bye. You can leave.
Bye bye. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.